like Dream was kind of letting him know, like, yo, you better cut it out. And like after the game, like I joked with Dream, like, man, you about to start a fight with Alonzo? And Dream told me he was 4-0 in his fights. So, so he said, I'm 4-0. And I'm looking to go 5-0. So I was like, okay, big fella. So, so Dream,
Engine
like
running.
he would handle it.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? You are listening to the Summit State of Mind, the podcast of dream shakes and step backs and everything Houston Rockets, presented to you by the Apollo Podcast Network. I am your host, your commissioner, Kenny, and of course with me as always is my brother, my tag team partner, the GM, Justin. Follow all of us on Twitter at JP_Mirabueno, at Summit Commish, at Summit SOM Pod, and at Apollo NBA, and at Apollo HOU. Very special night here tonight. It's a little different. Typically we've been doing a lot of episodes when we've been going through the apex of the NBA season, covering all the Rockets content that we can. It's been mostly myself and my brother just getting your day-to-day, your game-to-game action. But we decided to take a detour, into the time machine, get it back into the past a little bit, and bring back another guest favorite to the Summit, the 1994-1995 NBA champion himself, Mr. Chucky Brown. Chucky, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh man, everything's good, man. Everything's well. We're excited to have you on again. It's been a while. It's been a minute for sure.
Right,
I think the
right.
last time we heard from you was like what in I think during All-Star Week or All-Star
Yeah,
Weekend. I think last
it
time
was
we
a
heard
while
from you.
ago.
Yeah, it
Beginning of
was a
the
while
year.
ago. Yeah, man.
Right.
Beginning of the year. So Chucky, what have you been up to? Like last time we talked, it was like February, March. You had a whole year basically under your belt. So what's
Right.
been going on in the land of Mr. Brown?
A lot. Doing some coaching now at the Division II school, St. Augustine's University here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Got offered the job in April, and since it was home, I decided to take it and have a little fun with it. So having a little fun with it, enjoying it. Basketball. Been around basketball longer than I haven't been around basketball. So it's just been a lot of fun, and that's really it. Just raising my kids. I got two daughters at the University of Minnesota playing soccer, and I have one daughter that's a sophomore in high school. So I'm enjoying watching her play and also coaching these young men that I'm coaching. But yeah, just life is good. Life is good.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the
Thank you.
job. Very, very well deserved, and you're close to home. And I'm sure there's nothing better
Right.
than that, right? You just you drive. The commute it's short, right?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
far
yeah.
is the
Because
drive? How far is the drive?
about 15, 20 minutes. About 15, 20
Man,
minutes.
Come
when
on.
when
Come
they say
on.
they say convenience is key. That is what I call convenience.
Right. Yeah, it's
I
about 15,
drive
20
longer.
minutes. Oh,
I love it.
I stay home. I get to stay home too.
Basically,
So,
man.
so
Beautiful.
yeah, that's very convenient. So yeah, I'm enjoying that.
Very, very different from before, right? Where you used to be an NBA player traveling city to city. Now your commute's only 15 minutes away from home, huh?
15 minutes. Yep. I can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Can't beat
No,
it. No,
you're
you really can't. You can't beat it. He speaks the truth. Okay, Chucky, you mentioned something very interesting in our last
Mhm.
episode, and you did mention that you were part of the Retired Players Association. I know that you had talked about that. You are a board member of that.
Mhm.
Last episode, we really wanted to get like the totality of your whole career. Now you're back
Mhm.
for one more round with us, and I want to kind of go into depth now on kind of like the
Okay.
Retired Players Association. I know you kind of dabbled on it a little bit, but we didn't get to
Right.
really go in depth on it. So can you explain to the fans of NBA, and I think it'd be good for fans of the NBA to kind of get to know who y'all are and what y'all represent and kind of like what y'all do. So can you explain to the people that don't know what the Retired Players Association is?
Okay. Yeah. The Retired Players Association is just that, a group of retired players. We have a board. Dave Cowens is our chair, Johnny Davis. We have Sam Perkins as our treasurer. Um, we have quite a few other people. We have Cheryl Swoops as a member. She's WNBA. So we have
Yes.
WNBA Chew Smith. I think his last name is Smith. He's a Harlem Globetrotter. He's also a board member. But we look at different things and have different programs for retired players to try to help them. After the game, after you get done playing, we have like a Dave DeBuscher scholarship is one that a lot of people use. If you have kids that are going to college, you can help get some books and stuff like that. But there are other programs, many other programs that I can't think off the top of my head. But we have many different programs, and that's you trying to help the former players just adjust to life after basketball because not for everybody it's not that easy to adjust to life after basketball, and I think a
I
lot of
get
people
that.
don't understand that, but we do. But yeah, it's just a group of guys, man, just trying to help make the help players make the best decisions after basketball.
Mhm.
Oh man, you love to hear it, especially guys that have lived it. You kind of understand in terms of
Yeah,
trying to push forward with you know, after retirement, what
right,
are we going to do? And you've heard a lot of players say like that basketball is basically who they are, and basically
right.
what you're trying to do is trying to mold them and help them move forward in finding their own way if they haven't had it. I think it's a wonderful
Yes.
thing to hear, man. And I mean, look at you. You're a head coach at University of St. Augustine's. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty dope. I mean, did you do coaching beforehand at all? Or
He
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
he did.
coached.
okay,
I
I
coached in
don't
high school.
remember.
I was coaching
Oh
in high
yes, yes.
school.
I remember
I
you
did the
saying
D
about that.
League.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did the
yeah.
D League when the D League basically first started before it became the G League now. But
Oh
I
man.
Tell the
guess yeah,
people
we
they
were.
don't
Yeah, it
remember
was
the
like
D
There you
League
go. People don't
anymore.
remember the D
yeah,
League.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I was part of one of the guinea pigs that the testers to do the test run. Now they got it right now. So
What year was that? What year was that, Chucky? Do you remember?
I think it was like had to be like let's see, I graduated college in like 03, 04. So it had
Mhm.
to be because I was doing mentoring for the G League back then. So I think it was like started about 03, 04. I started in the G League
Oh
or the D
man.
League. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that in
Hmm.
terms of like how long it had been. We had a couple of friends that have been in the G League. One of our friends, he
Hmm.
was in the
Well, he was in the D
OBL
League
that
when it was still in the
yeah,
D
the D
League
League,
at the
yes.
time.
Okay, okay,
He played
Yeah,
for Toronto. His name is John
okay.
Jordan. He played at what is it, Kenny, the
yeah.
University of
I don't
I
remember off the top of
forgot.
my
It
head,
was
but
in
Chucky, do you know that the
yeah.
OBL, Tracy McGrady's league, he one-on-one league. He
Nah,
just
I don't
start.
know anything. I didn't know much about that league, but Toronto was not in the D League when I was there. So that tells you I was before that. So they had
So
gotten
we're
some
the
things right because
really
that's not a
yeah.
van ride to Toronto. You ain't taking the
we
van to
we got in that
Toronto.
you're in the basically in the infancy, and it just shows how much growth there
No,
is in
not in
terms
the
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, not in the infancy. He's a pioneer. He was in
Oh, there
it,
you
right.
go,
That's
there you go,
right.
in
there you
it,
go, there you
in
That's
go.
it.
right.
You
A
blaze the
Right.
trail,
pioneer.
man. You blaze the
That's
trail. There you
right.
go.
But he's
That's a
not a
better
but
way to
he's
word
not
it.
a Portland trailblazer though. Let's get that. Let's
No.
not get it twisted.
Touche, touche.
Let's not
He
get
has a
it
former
twisted.
Right.
teammate that was, but definitely not
Right.
him. But speaking
Or-
of former teammates,
Right.
you if you've been listening or not listening, but on Twitter or in the news
Hmm.
cycle, the NBA just renamed all of its awards after former
Hmm.
players, notably
Right.
one that
Hmm.
is a former teammate of yours, possibly the absolute greatest center of all time, the master
Right.
of the Dream Shake, top
Yep.
10 in steals and blocks, the only big to accomplish that in his career,
Right.
Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. So they
Right.
named the Defensive Player of the Year award after him. How do you feel about that? And for you being a part of the Retired Players Association, do you know of anything in terms of the process that it took of getting those awards to happen?
I did not know the process. But I mean, the only award, like I know renamed other ones. The only one
Mhm.
I heard was Dreams. So all the other guys, I apologize for not paying attention to you, but I heard Dreams name, and I was very happy for him. But I did not know the exact process. It kind of came as a surprise to me. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't I wasn't in those backdoor meetings and all that type of stuff. I wasn't in that stuff, so I don't know how the process went.
Oh man, but I mean, it's an amazing thing that it happened.
Right.
And the fact that through Twitter, there was a lot of controversy in terms of Hakeem being the guy. Shockingly, we even had someone say that Tim Duncan should have been it, even though he's never won the
I kid
Defensive
you
Player
not,
of the Year.
Chucky. Chucky, I kid you not.
It makes
I
no
kid you
sense to
not.
me, man. I mean, Hakeem, when you put him in line with the greatest defenders of all time, he becomes vastly underrated.
I
And
need the man. I need a man who was his teammate, who played with him to let the people know. Like,
yeah, man. I
we've
mean,
heard these things about Akeem being underrated, but come on, you're not gonna
yeah.
get. They're trying to take that away from him.
I mean, I love Tim Duncan. I played with Tim Duncan too, but I think even Tim Duncan agree with Dream being nominated for that award and not him. So those people that have a problem with Dream having that award, I suggest you either go get your temperature checked or you go back and watch some video of what Dream was like and talk to some of the former players that had to play against him, and they could tell you what he was like, or his teammate like myself. But I tell you, it was no more comfortable feeling than knowing that if you got beat on a play, you knew he was coming. So I remember one night, I can't remember who we were playing, but I remember Vernon got beat. And I heard Vernon yell, I might have been at the top of the key, but I heard Vernon yell, Dream. And Dream went, blocked the shot. We start the fast break. So there's no like center that I would take before him. And just knowing him behind the scenes, what a nice guy he was. Like I remember our conversations, because he's Muslim. So I remember our conversations, like going over when his house was being built, going over to his house and having the religion talks that we used to have.
Wow.
I mean, it was just, it was and he gave me a Quran to read. So, and I still have the Quran. So, I mean, it's, there's no better guy. There's no more deserving guy than Dream, in my opinion.
Man,
Yeah.
I can't disagree with you.
Yeah, and talking about like how intimidating he was, like that's I think that is the thing. And when you think of and this isn't like, there have been thousands of NBA players in the in history, in NBA history, and to be the guy that is named, the Hakeem Olajuwon Award, which is for the Defensive Player of the Year, and what exactly what you had just said, what he represents, of knowing that someone like a Vernon, someone like a Clyde, your former teammate Sam Cassell, Kenny Smith, they can get beat and they're not even sweating. Like they're not like, oh crap. I let go of Ron Harper got in my Ron Harper beat me, or Kevin Johnson beat me off the dribble. Who's right behind me? Who's right behind me? And I think I think your story is kind of like the exact representation of why he kind of earns it, like in a vacuum setting, why he would, deserve like that moniker of deserving that award. What other stories do you have, like in terms of like the fear factor? I'm just curious, like from what you had for personal experience, the fear factor of what Hakeem kind of brought to the table.
Well, not only was he like a great player, but a lot of times when you see like some of the great players, like they usually had like a tough guy alongside them. Like Dream had Otis Thorpe for a little while, but the thing about Dream is that he actually didn't need, like they used to call him the bodyguard. You know what I'm saying? Like Patrick Ewing had Oakley. Dream would fight himself. So I remember one night we were playing Miami, and it was Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo was very physical.
It's very true.
So they got they got to banging a little bit, and I just remember Dream just like giving him one little like elbow like to the chest, bam. And like Alonzo, like the physical play just kind of chilled, and it was like Dream was kind of letting him know, like, yo, you better cut it out. And like after the game, like I joked with Dream, like, man, you about to start a fight with Alonzo? And Dream told me he was 4-0 in his fights. So, so he said, I'm 4-0. And I'm looking to go 5-0. So I was like, okay, big fella. So Dream, like he would handle his own fights. Like he would never like, at least the time when I was there, it was never a guy that had to jump in front of him. If a guy, back in them days, it wasn't it wasn't a whole lot of the barking. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
Yeah,
guys, they
absolutely.
bark and they wait for everybody to come in between. Now they start tussling, trying to get to the guy. It wasn't a whole lot of that. So it was more so, if you wanted to do something, you went ahead and did it.
Mhm.
So, and if you got ejected, you came back the next day. The fines weren't as stiff, so you could get into a little fight. so,
Yes, yes,
so, so,
we
yeah.
do
So
recall.
Dream. Like I said, Dream handled his own business, man, and that's what I loved about him too. Like he didn't need nobody to step in front of him,
Mhm.
to fight for him. But he also did that as well as being a great player. So, and I think that guys playing against him knew that, so they knew, okay, all right, either I'm going to have to play this guy because I don't want to have to fight him. So I'll go ahead and just play the right way tonight. Long
Mhm.
as he doesn't, get out of line with me or character, I won't have to attempt to fight him. So
Mhm.
guys knew that they knew the fight was always on the table. So they played him a certain way.
Yeah, and no, that's interesting too, because that leads to my next question is that, since you got to play with him, and
Mhm.
Chucky, like you were a stout defender yourself in your days, like playing with someone like that led that
Mhm.
culture, you were there for the second title run, did like just kind of him being there, that must have empowered you, right? Made you feel like you yourself could, you were already a defensive player going in, that make you feel like,
Right.
I can, man, like maybe I'm better than even I thought I was, like just by playing next to Hakeem Olajuwon. Did you feel empowered when you were playing with him on the defensive end, especially?
Yeah, definitely, because it made me be able to guard a little more aggressive, um, you know,
Yeah.
get up in guys a little more because I knew that behind me was Dream. So all I had to do once he came to help me, I had to go help him so that he would
Mhm.
keep helping. You know what I'm saying? So that was our main thing. So like, Sam, Robert, Mario, all of us knew like, yo, big fella come help us. We got to help him because we want him to keep helping. So I mean, but it made me feel, more aggressive defensively, and I was always known as a defender anyway. So, I could get a little more aggressive knowing that I had such a guy behind me. Like the times when I had to guard Karl Malone, I would talk a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew Dream was behind me. Like, yeah, big fella, you beat me. You beat me. But can you beat that guy coming behind? You know what
There
I'm
you
saying?
go.
So, the guys that I had to guard that were, top notch guys that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wasn't on their level, supposedly, like the guys like, Barkley and them guys. Dream was
Mhm.
there to help me. So I knew that. So I could be a little more aggressive.
You did play in that era though. Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the toughest eras in NBA history in terms of your position. Charles
Yeah.
Barkley, I'm like blanking on the rest of
Kevin,
it. Larry
Kevin Garnett
Johnson,
was young.
Kevin Garnett
Yeah.
was young, Larry
Carl
Dirk,
Johnson,
Malone. Yeah.
Karl
Karl
Malone,
Malone,
You
Larry
had
Johnson. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
LJ
Sean Kemp,
Grandmama. Yeah,
Sean
there you
Kemp.
go.
Sean
Like,
Kemp was a beast.
Yes.
God,
Yeah.
like there
Yeah.
was
Yes.
just so many players. David Robinson,
Every night.
would he slide to the four every now and then, or would he?
Sometimes, yeah,
Okay, so
sometimes
like David
David
Robinson
wasn't
to
as
a degree.
physical. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
David
no.
Ross, he just wasn't as physical. Timmy was tough. He would be the four a lot of times. You could switch between the two, but if you had to pick between the two, you probably would rather guard David because David was more of a face-up guy. He wasn't gonna back
Mhm.
you down. Timmy would back you down and put you in the basket. So, he required a little more help. David had a little different skill set out there. He was a little quicker and could go by you. That's why a lot of bigs probably didn't like to guard him. But Dream could guard him rather good because Dream could also move.
Man, I love to hear it. I mean, this reminds me of 95, man. God. Like that series. Because every time you see like highlights, just kind of just I don't know how to put it into words, but it's kind of just like you watch it's like, is this really happening? Like to someone
Mm-hmm.
that is as decorated as a David Robinson. I mean, he's a two-time Olympian, maybe three-time Olympian, two-time NBA champion, number one overall pick, same distinction as Dream. And Dream
Right.
made him look silly. It's
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like, did that really happen? Like, what
Right.
John Stark said in the Reggie Miller documentary. Can you remember? Or not the
Yeah.
Knicks Pacers doc?
Did
Love
this
to
dude
hear it,
just
man.
done did this? So that's literally what he said. That's John Starks. He goes, whacks him elbows him in the throat. Did this dude just done did this? Like,
Oh my god.
like is that how John Starks would he talk smack like that? Like, because I know
John was he was pretty quiet when I played against John. John was pretty quiet, but he he could get it going though. I knew he could.
Yeah, facts
You
easily.
know what, Chucky, like who was the most like underrated talker? Because everybody understands like Gary Payton was that guy. He was the main antagonizer in the 90s.
Jordan,
MJ would do it because he was
Jordan,
the guy, you know.
Right.
But who was the low key like one that not many people that are NBA fans know is like someone that like legit antagonize others on the floor?
And Chucky, don't say Drazen. Don't say Drazen either, because I heard he talks. I heard he can talk smack in 5 languages.
Let me think. I would say, I think a lot of people. I got 2 guys, but I think a lot of people knew Larry Bird talked a little bit.
He's like very like unassuming and just like you just right in your face.
I think the other guy I would say people didn't know was talking because he wasn't like a guy that, lip pointed and all that. I think Ricky Pierce used to talk a little bit to me.
Wow.
No way.
Trash. Yeah. Ricky Pierce would talk some trash to you. I mean, and it would be like funny too. Like he would score on you and he would tell you like, "Oh, you like that one, didn't you?" Then he'd score on you again. Say, "Man, you can't guard me. You better get some help over here. Y'all better do something." You know what I'm saying? So Ricky Pierce probably, but Ricky talked to you. It was funny though. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude, shut up, dude. He'd be like, "Hey man, look, don't get mad, man. You just stop." You know what I'm saying? So
wow,
Ricky Pierce. I'm gonna get that to Ricky Pierce.
I love that. Because I mean, everybody that talks trash is kind of like they want to attack you. He's not attacking you. He's just kind of just doing it in a humorous manner. It's just kind of just like, hey man, I'm sorry. I did nothing wrong. I'm just doing my job.
Hey, you need to do he tell you like, hey man, y'all better get some help over here. You're gonna need some help tonight, buddy. You know what I'm saying? He tell you stuff like that. So yeah, I think Ricky Pierce was a guy that people didn't know talk trash, but yeah, Ricky used to talk a little bit. He's talk a little bit too.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Wow, Ricky Pierce. That was not. I did not have that on my bingo card tonight. Did
not
know I'd get a Ricky Pierce reference. Here we are.
Yes.
Oh man. But yeah, like going back to Dream, I was just curious to know, like, is there any like games defensively in dedication to him because of the award? Like, is there any games that you remember in particular that you want to shine a moment on that made an impact on you, or even like a moment that he had helped you specifically?
I remember one game. I don't remember who we played, but it's 2 games that come to mind. But I remember one game where somebody was backing me down. I think it might have been Antonio McDyess might have been trying to back me down. So I was
McDyess was a monster.
Yeah, McDyess
too.
was tough. Yeah,
he was a monster.
Trying to back me down, and I'm holding my ground, giving a little bit here and there, but we couldn't leave the 3-point shooters. So everybody had to stay at home. So I had to handle them one-on-one. And I remember him turning to go for a shot, and this arm was on my shoulder. Like Dream used my shoulder and went up and blocked his shot. I remember that. Yeah, so that was kind of like, well, damn. I'm sitting like, well, damn. He doing it like that. So I remember that game, and a game that sticks out. Another game that sticks out for me is when we played Utah in the first round, and I believe it was Dream had like 47 and Clyde had like 30 something, and just what Dream, like they put everybody on them and nobody could handle them. That game sticks out. I forget which game it was, but Dream had like 47. It might have been in Houston. Might have been game 3. Might have been game 3, yeah, because we had to have it. So I think it was that game. I think it was game 3 of that first round. We had to have
Utah
it.
series.
Oh,
Utah
against
series.
the Jazz.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I remember that because they always talk about that as being the game where it was like Dream and Clyde would not let y'all down. Like it was just not going to happen. Yeah.
Yes, that game sticks out. And the McDyess game, when he grabbed my shoulder and went up and blocked that shot, and I was just like, oh wow, this is something a little different here, because I played with other shot blockers before, but never had that happen.
Dream had that uncanny ability of coming from out of nowhere. Like just he
Yeah,
had that, even though he was very athletic, it wasn't like going to explode out of the building, you know.
right,
It's just
right.
he would just get up there super quickly, and it was very unassuming because he wasn't
Yes,
very like flashy in the sense. And
right,
every time you see him block shots, it's just kind of like, I don't know how to say it. It's just super fluid, very
right,
smooth. I don't know how you
right.
would compare it in terms of like Kenny, like a player that you would see now, because I don't think any big really
No, I
moves
mean Joel
fluidly in this.
Embiid would be
Nah,
somewhat the closest, but even
Yeah,
then,
see.
I think
Hmm.
yes,
Offensively for Embiid, I don't think
Hmm.
defensively Embiid is close to Dream, and
no,
No, no,
that's not
definitely
a
not.
knock. Joel Embiid is just much bigger. Like
yeah,
he's
just
more he
broader.
weighs more, yeah.
Yeah,
So he's a
Yeah.
little more, he got more, a little more girth on his body, but yeah, I
yeah.
call it girth, right?
No, dude, I
But yeah,
say the same thing. I
No,
called
because that's
my
what he says.
I say the same thing. Like
Just
I have a friend, and I told
thick
him, I was like,
bodied.
when we play basketball, and I'm like, bro, you got girth to you. He's like, you called me fat, bro, and I was just like, no, that's not what
No.
I mean, man. It's so funny.
no,
Shout out to him. He's such a good friend of mine, and that
Yeah.
conversation when you said that word just made me laugh. Like, man, I remember
right,
that
Yeah,
exact
exactly.
conversation.
Exactly. No, and you're right though, because like there really just is nobody.
right,
And I really think Hakeem is like he's those once in a lifetime. Like I don't think
yeah,
maybe
Mhm.
multiple lifetimes. I have yet to
yeah,
see someone that can bring the intensity on the way that he did on offense to
Mhm.
match
yeah,
the intensity of how he played on defense. When you talk two-way player, I mean, the MVP award was renamed after Michael Jordan, right? So that was
okay,
the highest of highest accolades.
okay,
When in 2011, when they asked Michael put your starting lineup together at the 5, he picked Hakeem. So there
that's
you
right,
go. There that's because he's got
Mhm.
to
that's right,
understand because the Rockets team spanked the Bulls team like
that's
in the
right,
early
Mhm.
90s. So you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like so just getting to be a part of that and getting to see that. Chucky, I want to ask you a question too. Just in regards to yourself, because I don't think you
okay.
got a chance to talk about this in the last episode, but what was your personal best game? Like in a Rocket uniform, like what was your personal best? Like, what would you equate? It doesn't have to be scoring, it doesn't have to be
Mm,
your high scoring game, but what was
right.
the best game that made you go, yeah, I'm a like I'm not just a role player, like I'm a part of this
Right.
team. Like, let's
Um,
go.
I think we played the Mavericks. We played Dallas one time. I think I had like 19 points and 14 rebounds. Um, that game, and also when we played Phoenix in the playoffs. I think it was the game where Clyde was sick. And
Oh,
I think I
game
had
five.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my playoff career high. I think I had like 16 and 7 or 8 rebounds. And after the game, um, the guys were happy for me. You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, I felt part of the team before that, but it
Mhm.
really made me feel like, special. And then like, I forget the young lady's name, but they interviewed me after the game and said that I had got player of the game. And I was like, I did. So, I
I gotta
mean,
find the
but
clip. I'm gonna find the clip at some
yeah,
point.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Find the
find it.
clip. Find that clip. Find that clip. It was on TNT. I think it was on TNT that night too. I think it was game 5. Because
What if it
yeah, it
was
was
Hannah
game 5,
Storm?
I
I
Because
wonder
y'all,
if it
believe.
was Hannah Storm.
because y'all were down 3-1,
3-1. Yes,
and
we game
coming back
5, and
in.
Clyde had
Yep.
the flu or food poisoning or something like that,
Yeah.
and he wasn't really feeling it. He was getting the IVs before the game and stuff like that, and I remember sitting in the locker room thinking like, somebody got to step up. Why not me? I remember saying that to myself. Why not me?
Facts.
So
I
Facts.
love that. I
so
love
so
that.
so yeah. So that game, but I felt a part of the team.
Hmm.
I guess I could say like from day one when I came in, because I remember coming in and we played Utah the first night that I came in, and we blew them out, and I got to play a little bit. And then the next night we went to Phoenix and blew them out and got to play a little bit again. I was on my 10-day, and just like sitting, I remember sitting and Otis Thorpe telling me, how to guard Charles Barkley. He's like, this is what you do to guard him. Because I asked him, because Otis played him really well. So I was asking, like, yo, how you playing him so good? You know what I'm saying? And he told me what he was doing. So that helped me when we got to the playoffs in guarding him too. So
Oh
Hmm.
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
just coming in, everybody made me feel a part of things. I knew Kenny before from college. I knew Vernon before from college as well, and we went to high
Mhm.
school basketball camps together. So, I knew a couple of guys, And then, Sam was an ACC guy, so he was, he was talking trash to me because I think Florida State might have beat NC State or whatever. So he was talking trash to me.
Of course.
And it was
Always.
just, that's who Sam is, though. And, Mario being from New York, we knew some of the same people. So I felt welcomed immediately, right away. I mean, and that's just, a tribute to the coaching staff for putting a group of good guys together.
Yeah. I love that, man. And the cool thing about you mentioning the whole playing defensive part, there's a lot of people on Rockets Twitter that are a bit older than Kenny and I that bring you up when we talk about the championship teams in terms of defense. And, shout out to those guys. Like one of friends of ours, Clutch fans, he speaks so highly of you, Chucky.
Okay.
Like people,
Well,
they'll be like, talking about bigs that could defend him, like, oh no, man, don't mess with Chucky Brown. Like he was the Charles Barkley stopper, and every time I hear it, I'm always like, yeah, that's my dude, man. That's my dude.
Give Chucky his flowers.
There you go. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, kids don't know nowadays what it was like to defend back then, man. I mean, the game was so much more physical.
Man's game. It was a man's game.
Yeah. Charles, when you were guarding him in that playoffs, Charles Barkley was 2 years out from being an MVP, being in the NBA Finals, 3 years out from being in the Olympics, and he was considered one of the top 3, maybe top 5 players in the NBA at that point in time. And for someone like you who played in the CBA and had to work so hard to get back into the league after being drafted, it just to be able to defend someone so well, especially a great like him, just shows, it's just a huge reflection on how hardworking you are and what you bring to the table. And the reason why Rudy T was like, oh no, we're keeping this guy. We ain't letting this dude go. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a beautiful thing to hear. Because the thing about Houston, man, like they say Clutch City, everything about it is about making buckets. But what people tend to forget is like how good those teams were on the defensive end. Like Vernon, first of all, despite him not finishing the playoffs in 95, was considered one of the top perimeter dudes in the league at that point in time. Mario Elie was considered a guy that people would, be he'd be a bit more physical one-on-one in terms of defending the perimeter. Robert Horry was pretty much like the prehistoric version, which you consider a stretch 4, even though he wasn't like, he could shoot the ball really well, but just the game wasn't like that. But he was just so athletic in what he did, and his weak side defense was elite in my opinion. In terms of someone who was sneakily athletic, 6'10". Later on in his career, he wasn't that same guy, but when he was at the Rockets, man, like anytime Hakeem needed help, he was always there too. So like just to think about that, like the term, like it's funny when you say that Hakeem gets the Defensive Player of the Year moniker, rightfully so. But the whole team itself, man, when we were winning titles, was just basically like a top 5 defense in the league. It's crazy. I didn't even mention like Clyde, Sam, Kenny, like those guys. Like Sam was considered one that people really were just like he was a beast on the block. So he was someone that you couldn't toy with either. He was a very physical point guard and very physical for his size. So I think it's cool to be a part of that distinction of a team. I love to hear it, man. Yeah.
That was a great team. Like you mentioned those guys. Like Mario was like the gritty guy that we had. You know what I'm saying? Robert was that guy. Like you said, he's an elite weak side defender. You know what I'm saying? So we had guys. I mean. Kenny could keep guys in front of him. You know what I'm saying? So Kenny did the best he could as far as, but Kenny could keep guys in front of him. And if Kenny couldn't handle a guy, then Sam would come in. And Sam, was a tougher. You look at Sam, wouldn't think he would be that tough. But Sam's a tough dude. He's a tough dude, man. It's funny because I just spoke to him the other day. I just spoke to Sam the other day, man. So, but yeah, Sam, that team was, like I said, it was put together, a group of good guys, just working hard together, and those memories never go away. And it's funny also because I just got a message from Pete Chilcutt. He just moved to Raleigh, so now Pete Chilcutt and I are gonna link up. Yeah, he's in Sacramento now, so when he gets back here, we're gonna link up. So I'm looking forward to that, man. So I mean that bond is like an unbreakable bond right there when you win a championship together.
I
It's like a
love that,
fraternity.
man.
It's like a fraternity.
Yep.
Yeah,
Y'all are
yeah,
Yep.
literally
it
like
is.
a championship fraternity, a
Yeah,
band of brothers. Like, I just think that
yep,
is so dope.
yep.
We need to get Pete Chilcutt. He's gonna hang
Mhm.
out with Chucky Brown, and we got Sam Cassell calling Chucky Brown. When people say that legends never die, this is the bold, honest truth. Like, swear, like
Right.
that's the awesome
Yeah.
thing about like
Mhm.
all of this. No, it's really really cool to see.
Uh-huh. Especially mentioning Chili Pete, man. That's a blast from the past, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that, man. Chili Pete. People bring him up too, man. They say
Really.
like, oh, he's like, he was the underrated version of just he wasn't Matt Blair. He couldn't shoot like that, but the man could still shoot pretty well.
Right,
And
right.
he was just a great compliment next to Dream. I think he was
Yeah,
starting at some point, like I think in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
'95,
He
like
started some
he was
point.
a starting
Yeah, he
four.
did.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, until they went to Rob. But man, Chili Pete, like what I would do for a Pete Chilcutt jersey, I ain't gonna lie to you. If I get a
Okay.
He has an affinity for
jersey
Pete Chilcutt.
of him and jersey of you, like that'd be perfect. Like I'll
No,
be
no, no,
good.
no,
Like
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
need
no,
no
no,
more
no.
Rockets
You
jerseys.
can have your Chili Pete jersey. I want the Chucky Brown jersey. I am still
Okay,
searching
that's
All right.
fair. That's
for
fair.
a
That's
a
fair.
champion
That's fair.
brand
All right.
Chucky Brown jersey. I gotta find one at some point. Gotta rock the numbers properly. Yeah, but
Oh man.
yeah, no, Chucky. So like we're continuing on, just talk about like obviously your story and just how you kind of, we pretty much talked over your story like last episode. So I do, on a personal note, I do want to ask you just another question, just because he is one of my favorite players of all time, and we
Okay.
did highlight Drazen a little bit and how you kind of talked about his career, but what tell if you know something that the people would generally not know. What is one thing about Drazen that you got to play with him, be his teammate, work out with him, do the
Mhm,
training camps with him, and play
mhm.
in season with him? What was like one thing about Drazen that people probably wouldn't know?
I don't think people knew how hard he worked, man, because like I said, I remember one time he had like twisted his knee or something. It was something where he was supposed to be out maybe like 4 or 5 weeks. And I remember coming in the locker room, he came to get his training and he was doing these like he had a chair where he was doing like some knee raises or something on the chair on the sore knee. And I was like, man, that's kind of early to be doing that. But he was supposed to be out like 4 weeks or a month or two, something like that. And he ended up being out about a week. And just the relentless, work ethic. I mean, Drazen was a quiet guy pretty much until somebody got him started. Then he would talk a little bit then, but he was just a nice dude, man. And I still remember the night when I heard what happened when he got into the car accident. I still remember that, just as clear as day. I was with Rick Mahorn and James Edwards. We were up at Rick Mahorn's camp,
No, man.
um, and
Yeah.
we went over to Windsor, Canada. We drove over to Windsor, Canada to
Mm,
gamble a little bit, and we went over there.
of
And I
course.
remember back then it was a pager. We had pagers back then,
Oh man,
and Rick
yeah.
Mahorn's wife hit him on the pager, 911. And as we're driving to get out of Windsor, Rick said, "Well, I got to pull over to the payphone and call my wife." So he pulled over to the payphone. He went in the booth. So Buddha, well, James Edwards called him Buddha. So Buddha and I would just kind of watch his reaction because he said 911. So we like, what's going on? And like his reaction, we knew something happened. And then when he got in the car and he said what happened, it was just like, oh man, it was very, it was a brutal feeling. But Drazen, like I said, he was one of the best teammates that I had. One of the more fun guys to play with, one of the more unselfish guys that I've ever played with too.
See that, and that's the epitome of everything I heard that Drazen like is as a person
Yeah,
and as a player. Very respectable as like a human being as well, right?
yes,
Yeah.
very respectful as a human being, and like I don't know if I told you the story before, but like the young lady that he was in the car accident with, uh, she was in Orlando. We were in Orlando, myself and Chris Dudley. We had just come in from dinner, so
Yeah.
she knew we were on the Nets, and she like wanted to meet him. So
Yeah.
she gave me the phone number, and then I'm the one that passed it on to him. So I mean, I think about that sometimes too. But I mean, it was going to happen either way. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah, and that's just kind of the way life is, right? But I mean,
yeah,
bottom line, just a great teammate, great player.
yes,
a great person, and a stone cold killer.
Yeah,
Kobe
yeah.
before Kobe.
Kobe
Kobe
before
before Kobe.
Kobe.
That's the
Yeah.
no, and that's the thing. And it's funny too, because all the greats, like I hear LeBron talk about him to this day. Like
Oh, okay.
the OGs, like the real hooper of hoopers will know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dirk
Yeah.
Nowitzki talked about him. Like we'll
Yeah.
know who Drazen, so you say Drazen Petrovic's name, and people, the real like basketball heads will know it and understand it. So that is who I believe who he was. He was Kobe before
Right.
Kobe. He was the one that went toe to
Right.
toe with Michael and talked
Yes.
smack to his face,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Talk right to his face. Yep. Yep.
The
Sure
greatest,
did. Yep.
greatest, the proverbial greatest player of all time.
Mhm.
Right. That's
Chucky,
right.
Chucky, let's fast forward over to today. So, with the midst of the NBA season right now, 2022, 2023, I can't believe we're already going towards 2023. It's crazy how fast time
I
flies,
know.
right?
Yeah, I
But
know, right?
no, seriously. But this NBA season, have you been able to kind of keep tabs on it? Not even just the Rockets, but just overall, since I know you're a part of the Retired Players Association, but have you been able
Right.
to kind of keep tabs on the NBA season? Do you still watch NBA?
I watch when I can. Like Christmas Day, I'll be in front of the TV all day
Hell yeah.
watching the
There it is.
game. So, but I have not, like, normally what I'll do is I like to watch religiously after All-Star break is when I like to watch, because that's when I think it gets, I mean, not that it's not serious now, but it gets a little more serious then. The games matter a little more because people are trying to jockey for
Mhm.
position.
Yeah,
And
the
now, especially
intensity
with
picks
this,
up.
yeah, the intensity
Mhm.
picks up.
Mhm.
And now with this new format, where the 10 seed can get in and all this, so it makes it a
The
little more
play-in, oh
interesting.
man.
Yeah, so it makes it a little more interesting. I think that the games mean a little more. Like I said, not that there's not intensity in the beginning, but I think like a lot of times in the beginning, if you
Mhm.
have a good team against a bad team, the good team, may not bring it as hard until late.
Yeah.
Whereas you play after All-Star break, now the good team is going to bring it early because they want to go ahead and beat these cats down so they can get some rest for the playoff run coming up. So,
Mhm.
I like to watch it more so after
Mhm.
the All-Star break.
I love that you mentioned the play-in, because when the play-in started, everyone's kind of like, they're not sure how they felt. Like I wasn't sure what I felt. Some people thought it was dumb, but to be honest
Right,
with you, that's probably some of the best basketball that we see is
right,
like in the play-in in terms of just entertainment value, pure entertainment value. Like those lower tier teams that are fighting, like it gives them an opportunity to get into the playoffs, when before it was like once you're the eighth seed, if you're like the ninth or 10th seed and you're down a few games, it's
you're
like,
out.
well,
Yeah,
we're good. But the
yeah,
fact that even if you're in, if you can get to somehow be that eighth seed, you'd get a
right.
home game advantage
Game.
for a one best
Mm-hmm.
of one, and I think
Right,
that that is just it's a wonderful thing. It's almost gives you that March Madness type vibe,
right,
and that's the
right.
kind of vibe that the NBA is trying to replicate in terms of giving the best of both worlds, correct?
Right.
Because you do get a series, but yet you still get one game playoff that kind of decides whether one team advances or one team goes home. So it's at the best of both worlds. It kind of gives that whole aspect. I love that. I really do. I mean, I'm not even a guy that watches college basketball very much, but when March Madness occurs, of course I'm viewing. I want to see,
Right.
number 15 advance. So basically, if the 10
Right.
seed is playing the 7 seed and they somehow beat the 7 seed, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Like
Right. Right.
they say the ultimate underdog story. You
Well,
just
it
love to
wasn't it
see it.
like how the isn't it kind of similar how the Nuggets beat the Sonics in '94? I mean, it's kind of like that,
Yes.
how they shocked them
True.
in that
Yeah.
setting.
Right.
So exactly. So Chucky, last set of questions before we go home here. Question number one, I want to take it back to
Okay.
you one more time, back to 1995. I don't
Okay.
think we ever got an in-depth explanation from you of
Mhm.
how it felt. I want to set the scene. Game four. Game four,
Okay.
right? Game four of the 1995 NBA Finals.
Okay.
Orlando came in with so much noise. They
Mhm.
were, they were the up and coming team. They were the
Mhm.
ones that were going to knock down the old Rockets. That was
Yep.
it seemed like that was the
Yep.
driven storyline going into the 1995 finals.
Right.
Now, you're up 3-0. You are
Mhm.
going into game four.
Mhm.
Finish the job. Get
Right.
it done.
Right.
When you get to the end of game four and Hakeem wets that three, with
Mhm.
15 seconds left in the game,
Right.
what was the overall feeling, not just from your teammates, but for
Mhm.
yourself to get to the pinnacle of championship How was it for you to finally get that moment and get that moment of gratitude for yourself, knowing that you had finally gotten to that place of championships?
It was a great feeling because, right after it happened, I realized that a lot of guys don't get this opportunity. A lot of guys play a long career and never get that opportunity to get the champagne poured in their eyes and get their eyes burning and all that stuff. So, but I knew it was a good. I was in a good place after we won game two
Mm.
because I was with a group of guys that had done it before. So,
Mhm.
and I could tell that we were going to do it because when we came in the locker room after game two, there was no celebrating. And I'm ready to
Mm.
celebrate. Yeah, it was no celebrating. So, I'm thinking like, yo, these dudes are serious. This ain't over. You know what I'm saying? And then I
I love it.
remember I remember
Facts.
Kenny saying, yo, we got to finish the job. And then I specifically remember hearing Mario say, we are not coming back to Orlando. And that's when I knew.
Oh,
He said it. We are
I
not coming back to
love
Orlando.
that. I've
Mario
never
said
heard
that.
that before.
Mario
Never
said
heard
that. He
that.
said,
Oh
we
man.
ain't coming back to Orlando. Get a good look at it now. We done here.
That is
So,
the greatest Mario
yeah,
Elie impression I've ever
yes,
heard in my
Oh
life.
yes.
my
Mario
god.
said we are not coming back. So we went out. We got game
Mhm.
three. And then as game four, it was a battle. It was a battle. So,
Mhm.
Orlando was trying, they played hard and they didn't give up. So and once Dream hit that three and it was over, I mean, it was just like I said, my instant thought was a lot of guys have played this game and they didn't get the chance to experience this, and I do. So I appreciated the moment.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. I love to
Yeah,
hear that.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
it's just and it's such a great thing too. And God, and it was in 1995, and that was the Rockets' last championship. Please, I want to pour proverbial champagne on myself when the Rockets win. Come on, we're like almost 30 years. The 30-year anniversary. I'm gonna tell you right now, we need to start campaigning this. When the 30-year anniversary comes, we got to get Chucky Brown to Houston. We
I'll
got to
be
we
there.
got we got to make this happen. I'm sorry. We got to make this happen. We got to
I
meet
will
you
be
up. We got
there.
to get
I will be
Hakeem.
there.
Clyde better be there. I got to get the whole team. Mario actually works for AT&T Sportsnet, so he's actually working in conjunction with the
Mhm.
Rockets as of right now. He actually did
Okay.
pre.
Okay.
I got to watch it. He actually did a little pregame action. So he's here. He's here doing his thing. Get Robert, get the whole team, get the whole squad together. I think I'm
Mhm.
campaigning it now. I'm going to speak it to existence. I'm going to talk to Tillman Fertitta.
Okay.
We'll make it happen. So last question before I go home here. Chucky, the way that today's NBA is played is entirely different from what's been before, right? A lot of
Right.
the game is heavily reliant on the 3-point shot, a lot of guard play compared to how it was. Pass it to the big
Right.
man and let it rock in the 90s.
Right.
Chucky Brown in his prime. Let's take you. Chucky Brown, drop him in today's NBA.
Okay.
How would you, in your opinion, how would you play? Would you adjust? Would you feel like you'd have to adjust your game to a degree? Would you think maybe that you would stretch? Because you could hit the jump shot,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you just, you know what I mean? Like you just wasn't asked to hit the three because that wasn't the
Right.
game at the time. But
Right.
I think, and my personal belief is, and maybe I'm gassing you up, but I think Chucky Brown would still be the same player he was,
Right.
maybe even
Right.
better in this era. That's just my
Right.
opinion. But what do you think?
But hey, you're not gassing me up at all because I feel the same way. I
There
feel
you
like
go.
so I feel
I
like
love it.
I
I
would
love it.
I would have to I wouldn't take all of the threes that they do now. I think I
Yeah.
would take mine a little bit less. But like as my career went on, I did extend my game to the 3-point line. By the end of my career, I was able to shoot the three. But like you said, it wasn't asked of us that much. Like years ago, like today's game, that quick pass up the sideline and they launch a three, that was a bad shot for us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
now
Mhm.
they try to get as many possessions in. I get it. They try to get as many possessions in as possible. So they try to shoot the ball as quick as possible, where we were trying to get the shot clock down to about 6. And then,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get us a shot. Then we run a set. Like we come down, if we didn't get a fast break right off the rip, then we're going to run a set. And we tried to move the ball side to side. That's old
Mhm.
school basketball. And
Yep.
I get it now. It's just a little different. The only thing I don't like when like you hear some of these guys say like that we couldn't play with them. I mean, no,
No.
our game was a
Nope.
little different than theirs. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
I don't think that a lot of those guys could play back then because we had to do sets and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I think like it seems like the patience level is not like we were more patient. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like even with my kids, I find my kids are like, we listen to a song and the song play a minute and a half. I'm like, and they want to switch the song. Like, wait a minute. I'm used to listening to 5-minute songs. Like you listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, they had 7-minute songs, and we
Let it
listened to
There
the
you
run.
whole
go. There,
thing.
let
You
it
know what I'm
go.
saying? Listen to the whole thing. Now it's a minute and a half in. They switch. I'm like, yo, the song ain't over yet. Oh yeah, but I was tired to listen to it. Like, oh, okay. So I just think like the younger
Mhm.
generation is a little more impatient than we
Mhm.
were. Like you have, like the microwave oven. I'm used to putting my food in the oven and warm it up. I don't even use a microwave today. So I use a regular
Wow.
oven. It'll take me, instead of doing it in 2 minutes, it might take me 25, 30 minutes. I'm cool with that though. But I'm patient. But that's just how like today's basketball is the same way. I think they're a little less patient than we were, and I think that it's allowed, so it's made it a different game. But
Mhm.
they just like they get more possessions than we did in the game. And I remember like
Yeah.
playing for Chuck Daly, like our goal when I played for Chuck Daly, our goal was to give up 24 points a quarter. So I think that's what like 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something
So
about, yeah, yeah.
we were trying to give up less than 100 a game. Now, if you see less than 100 points in the game, you're like, yo, was the game shortened? What happened? Was there a delay? What did they, what happened? So, because you have regulation games now, they scoring 135 points.
No,
So
Easily.
you're
the
not
game
wrong.
was just a
Yep.
little different.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a
Yeah.
little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I
Yeah.
love to
Definitely.
hear that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, because I mean, like I agree in terms of this generation, especially the players in the league, where there's a
Yeah.
little bit of impatience. I love how
Oh,
you
yeah.
say that, like trying to bring in, trying to expand, get more possessions.
Yep.
You still see the occasional team play it a little bit slower in terms of sets,
Right.
but most
Right.
of the league now is just kind of like we're just going to shoot because
Yep.
I
Up and
mean, do
down.
we blame the Warriors for that? Maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of other guys. I mean, Phoenix started it with D'Antoni. I mean, that
Well,
was
yeah,
just basically
Denver
the
used to do
arcade
it. Denver
version.
used to do it
Yes,
Yes.
back
in
in the
the
Denver did it
80s.
too.
80s. It's
Yeah, Denver
because
used to
they
do
were
it.
trying to blow you out because at the end of
Yep.
the day, you can't keep up
Yep.
with the elevation. So it's like
Right.
we're gonna get you to the point of exhaustion and we're just
Yep.
gonna kill you that way. It's like
Yep.
basically death by asphyxiation. Like they're just gonna basically just take you out,
Wow.
man.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's funny that you talk about patience. One more question in regards to that. Like, since you're a coach,
Mhm.
since you're a coach now, I mean, I'm sure how do you tackle your offense with your team? Like, how do you tackle it?
Well,
Like you know what I mean? Like, do we do
right.
today's do we do today's game? Do we mix it with a little bit of
Nah.
old school? How do we do it?
Well, we mix it. We mix it a lot with old school because I don't let them uh, that one passing up. I like to share the ball, move the ball movement, man movement because
Mhm.
we do have a 30-second shot clock, so
Yep.
that helps. So ball movement, man movement. We're not trying to. I kind of my team is a defensive team, so we're trying to make other people play defense. And we're not into the quick shooting because you see the
Mhm.
guys in the NBA do it. I mean, them guys in the NBA, some of them guys are sharp shooters. They can do that. You know what I'm saying? You're not there yet. So that's what I try to relay the message to. You're not there yet. When you get there, you can do that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's fun, though, to work with these kids, man. But I do find that a lot of today's players are not used to getting in a set. You know what I'm saying? So I have to, find ways to, coach like today's coaches where they don't necessarily do a set, but it's a pass and a read, which I totally understand that. But it's fun to just work with these kids, man. It's fun. But they do try to emulate the guys in the NBA, and I do have to stop practice sometimes and say, hey, you're not there yet, so cut it out.
Now stop shooting logo threes You heard it here.
Right.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. And I don't care what anybody says. Drop Chucky Brown in today's NBA. He's gonna wet threes. He gonna get stops on the defense. He gonna guard Joel Embiid. You heard it here first. I truly believe it. I truly believe it. I think Chucky Brown, you drop him in today's NBA, would be an absolute stud. So
Yeah,
that's
Houston Rockets could totally use you. Absolutely.
Oh,
they definitely
please.
could.
We need some defensive culture. Oh, let's not get into this, Chucky. I can't. Chucky, this is going to be another 30-minute conversation. I can't. My Rockets team needs all the defense in the world right now. We need Chucky Brown's defense on this goddamn team. let's not get too into it. Chucky, thank you so much for coming on our show once again. Just such a great experience just getting you on, man. It's all like it's always feel good when you come on, like, and everyone loves it. Everyone loves the positivity that you bring to the show, and just as a guest and just as a person, I think just your personality just oozes out, which is just a great thing. So I personally would like to thank you. I'm sure my brother thanks you as well, to be able that you can come on here and share your thoughts, share your stories, and that's the great thing, man, is that you were a former NBA player in the midst of one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest eras in NBA history, just in terms of the talent, the grit, the grind of the 90s itself, which in my opinion is one of the best eras in basketball. So, and I will go to the grave with that. I don't care what anyone says. But
thank you.
Chucky, before we go home here, where can the people find you on social media, and and do you have any plugs that you want to say in regards to maybe the team that you coach, or where they can find social and anything of that nature?
I believe my Twitter handle is 52 Chucky Brown 52. I believe that's my Twitter handle. I have an Instagram, but I don't really use it that much, but it's like Chucky Brown 52 probably. Facebook, Chucky Brown. What else? What is it? What's the other one? TikTok. So I do. So the TikTok is just like Chucky Brown 0 or something like that. And I just kind of have fun on the TikTok. Well, I'm a hat collector, so I have different hats on that I may show off. But yeah, those are all of my social media. I think I'm on up, but I don't like Instagram. I don't really use it that much. I'm on mostly Facebook and probably Twitter, because I go on Twitter to recruit. And also, hey, if you get a chance, check out the St. Augustine University Falcons. We're in the CIAA, HBCU. So you can check us out. Just look us up, check us out if you get a chance. And hey, that's it, man. I'm gonna try to I get to set up our schedule, so maybe I try to set up a game with a D2 down there in Texas. Oh, I did talk to my man Goldwire, who works with the University of Houston. Maybe we can set up a game with them, and we can get some money, because we need some money for the program. So
there you go. You heard it. You heard it.
Hey,
you heard
it. Down, beat us up, and send us home with the black eye. But we got a nice size donation to take care of the program.
Let's do it. I'm down.
I love it. Come down to Houston. That. We will go to the Fertitta Center and cheer you on.
Yeah.
No, sorry, U of H.
I'm sorry. This is one of the few times, I did U of H, but this is one of the few times where I would personally ask Chucky, can I get your college shirt? Can I get a St. Augustine shirt? Like, I would rock y'all.
Hey, I'll get. Tell what size you wear. Are you a large, extra large?
I'm a large.
Both of them. Okay, large. Okay. Both of you?
I'm probably a large XL, but I might be an XL.
I like my fit to be a little bigger.
Touche.
Okay, I'll get some St. Augustine's gear, and you can send me your address on Twitter, and I'll send that to you. I got.
Oh, there we go.
I got you.
We got to work a trade. We'll send you some shirts too. We'll send some shirts your way, Chucky. For sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say a Christmas card, but okay, that works too.
I got you.
I say a Christmas card and a summit gear as well. Right. So, Chucky, once again, wow, that was great. Okay, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much for just coming on our show and just kind of talk your stories out here. But before we go home, GM, give the people what they need to hear. Let them know where they can find us as well.
Man, follow me on Twitter at JP_Bueno. Follow the podcast over on Twitter and TikTok at Summit SOMPOD. Follow us on Instagram, where you can see Kenny's baller reels, they're just loved throughout Instagram for some reason. I don't know why. Kidding. At Summit State of Mind _POD, and follow the media company, our team, at Apollo NBA and at Apollo HOU. And thank you again to the good friend of our podcast, Chucky Brown, former NBA champion. Everyone shoot him a follow on Twitter. Show him all the love. He deserves it. Former champion, now a head coach. Everyone show the man some love.
And doing it for the
Thank
culture,
you.
obviously. Yeah, doing it for
Yes,
the
sir.
culture,
Yes,
doing
sir.
it for the people. So, yeah, and you can follow me as well at Summit Commission on Twitter. Another round of thank yous going over to Chucky Brown. Be sure to also check out our shows and our shows and podcasts with the Apollo Podcast Network. Be sure to check out I have my lines. BTD. Be sure to check out Beyond the Diamond, our Astros podcast, as well as our Texans podcast, Off the Gridiron, where they continue to pump out great content as the unfortunate Texan season has been going along. But the Astros have been doing great. So be sure to give them a follow and give them a listen to as well. Chucky Brown, thank you so much for meeting us up again at the summit. We got to make something happen again soon. And I can't wait to get those shirts. I'm super
All
stoked
right.
for that.
I got you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. All right.